goes wild, talking dreams we chased since we were both just a child. Entrepreneurs' heartbeats like a midnight train in the game of sales.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. This fine Friday morning, and we're joined on KGCI Radio, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, wherever you can find it, and streaming live in all those places. We got the Breakfast Club line here, all set up as well. So we are getting moving here this morning, and I got a special guest on this morning. I can't wait to get her in here in a second, and we will be hitting this. But guys, like if you're listening to this now, this is going to be a great episode for you. But if you're going to listen to it later, it's going to be really good. So again, you can find the Elite Real Estate Podcast wherever you find podcasts. Whether it's Apple, iTunes, or wherever you can find podcasts. That's where you can find the Elite Real Estate Podcast, and you can follow us there. Also on social medias everywhere. But again, we are live every Friday morning at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we are grinding away. So I am excited about my guest this morning. She's getting logged in here in a second. And you guys might have heard that. She's coming in here. So I am very excited to have Becky on this morning. Becky Alley is going to be joining me here shortly. And as soon as you get logged in, and then and because there's a lot of things happening in our industry right now, as far everybody's talking about rates and this rate and that rate, all these things. So that's the importance of having her on this morning, and they're going to talk about that. She's a pro, been doing this for a long time, and she's a pro. So I'm not worried about the podcast either, because she does this every Saturday morning on the Hardcore Mortgage Show. Live here in Detroit. So you guys can find her on the radio as well every Saturday morning at 97.1 The Ticket. We can't see her yet, but I'm going to bring her on. Good morning, Becky. Can you hear me now? And I'm getting things that we can't hear me on the Breakfast Club. How about now? Can you guys hear me now? Yeah. Okay. So you can hear me on the Breakfast Club. That's good. I got that. We got that. We got through one hurdle. So that's perfect. That's one hurdle we got down. Now we need to get to the other hurdle, get Becky in here this morning. So good morning, everybody. Good morning, Al. Good morning, Ron Pro. Ronnie Pro says Top Jimmy. Yep. And as everybody's logging in here today. But yeah, it's important that we're gonna cover this today, and we are gonna get to it. And we are gonna get Becky on here for sure. So that's good news. All right, now Becky, let's see if we can hear you. All right, we're gonna keep moving. We're gonna try to get Becky in here in a second. But as far as this goes, guys, the important part of what's happening right now in the industry too is that we are seeing this fluctuation of rates. We keep hearing that rates are going to go down, that this is going to happen, and that's going to happen. That that rates may the things that I've heard on my end are that rates should be trickling down by the fourth quarter. Now, we'll see how that happens. We'll see if that happens. We hope it does. But guys, it's going to be, if it does, if the rates get down to let's see if we get this.
Okay, is this work?
Bingo. There you go. There she
Okay,
is.
you know what? We're like done with the computer. I understand technology sometimes it fails you, so I was like, we're done with this computer. We're doing it on the phone, and here we are. Hey,
I love it. Well, that's the thing. It's when you've been on the radio for how long? How long you been doing your show on the Hardcore Mortgage Show?
so I have been on the radio since 2000. So me personally, I've actually been live on since 2017, but we've had the show for 20 years now. We've been on since 2005. So this is our 20th season, or actually, I'm sorry, 25th season. So they've been on since 2000. So we've been doing all the things. But one thing I will say is that we were doing live shows during COVID and doing it like this, where someone's in the radio, a couple people are on Zoom, and that was enough to make you want to like run into moving traffic when the technology would fail you, because you got to be on no matter what. So I appreciate everyone's grace. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. No, it is, and you're a pro at it. So and I've had the luxury of being on the show a couple times, and I told you that when I was on the last time, I'm like, I'll come back every week if you want me to.
Oh my God, yes. Anytime there's a cancellation, you were on it for sure.
So yeah, I was just kind of diving in a little bit, talking about, it's the same comment we hear all the time. Like, what are the rates, right? Like, I have a background in mortgages too. Very short time in mortgages though. They weren't for me. Not you've been doing it again 20 some years in the business, and you're absolute pro at it. So what's going on right now? What's happening?
I mean, there's volatility. There's been volatility in the market for some time now, and we're going to continue to see that whole like mantra of like assuming the rates were going to be plummeting to the bottom of the earth, this year is just not happening. This week alone, we saw a little bit of an increase. Yesterday, the rates got a little bit better, but they always are going to go down, or they're always going to go up faster than they come down. That's just how it is. But I feel like the buyers are settling with the idea that rates are going to be in high sixes, low seven. You're going to have moments where you can get into the low sixes on certain situations, FHA, but you just have to settle with the idea that what we as the professionals out here, we have to get our buyers to understand that they're locking in the price of the home, not the payment, right? So we're going to lock in the price of the home, because that same house, so even if the rates drop to 5.875, if you wait, that same house is going to cost you $81 more, even if the rates drop to 5.875, because the appreciation is just there. And that's when we're talking about, don't wait, because if you lock in the price of the home and we can make sure that you have a payment that you can afford right now, then obviously when the rates drop, it's gravy, baby. You just refinance, slide that rate right down.
Yeah, super easy to do that. And here's the other thing, and I just had this conversation with a potential client yesterday, and she was like, "Oh, these rates are killing me," and I'm like, "You realize we're at like the 20-year average is like a 7.5% rate, right? Like, I mean, it's not."
Yes.
And she was older, so she was going from the idea of like, well, my sister has a 2.5% rate. I'm like, well, those are never going to happen again. Like those.
Cousin's brother's dog's sister has this rate. Well, cool. But their home buying journey was nothing like yours. You can't compare that, because it was just a different time.
Correct.
And they
Correct.
probably got better. And the other thing too is that people will brag about the lower interest rate that they have, but they're not bragging about the fact that they overpaid for that house, or now they overbought, and those taxes are something you can't afford. So those are things that you have to understand too, that it sounds really cool, and like if that money was super cheap in 2000, but we're never going to see that, because that was an artificially deflated market with those interest rates, and everybody in the world needs to understand that.
Yeah. Those 2.5s aren't coming back. Those are
No.
those are
There was
those are,
guardrails on those interest rates, because technically the rate should have been, interest rates follow inflation. So when technically, and there's always going to be these outside global anomalies that affect the interest rates, but when they put those little guardrails on in that little money spot in 2020, 21, they made them stay where they were, because inflation was already moving up. So as soon as they removed those guardrails, that's why we saw those interest rates skyrocket, and they've settled. And I feel like most consumers, the savvy buyer, is understanding that These are good interest rates. We're turning a time, and you can easily afford the payment, because if you can pay $2,500 in rent, I can very quickly identify what $2,500 a month in an actual real mortgage payment is going to look like. And they're
Yeah.
not.
I think that what you just hit on is what I think most realtors are missing out, like having that discussion and tapping in the mortgage specialist, right? Like, what if I'm paying 2,500 in rent? What does that look like for me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so again, it's coming together as a realtor and a mortgage professional, right? And
Yes.
holding hands and actually doing the right things, and then staying in your lane. Just get out of the way.
Yes, it's like I talk about it often. It's divorcing rent,
Yeah.
and most buyers, the first time buyer, they're going to get beat up in this market. Obviously, it's becoming very competitive, but it's all us. There's also these micro pockets where you're going to see where certain cities homes are flying off, and then there's like the appreciation is moving, and then you have other cities where homes are sitting for 30 days a little bit, or you won't have any offers for 30 days, and now there's multiple offers because there's such a lack of inventory. I mean, this is a 2022 market. To me, it's giving me like a lot of those vibes where it's like there's concessions, there is over asking, there is where you're going under the purchase price that's listed. I mean, this market isn't just one thing, but I will say this: there's a reason why the investor does not care what the interest rate is, and I hope anyone that is looking to stop renting and become a homeowner themselves, I hope they hear that part, because the person that you're paying rent with, they don't care what the interest rate is, because they know someone else is going to make that mortgage payment. So park your car in your own driveway versus somebody else's. However, if you want to build that real estate portfolio, we can figure that out too for you. It's whatever you want to do in real estate, we got you.
Right, right. And the other thing is too, like what people miss out on is the building the equity. And so if you're just renting, you're building somebody else's equity. You're not building your own. So there's something to be said about having to be able to build some equity. And that's one of the biggest things that I, coach and teach agents a lot too, is when you're having this conversation with clients, it's got to be more about it's not just about like, okay, well, the interest rate, great, but what are you missing out on your equity gains, right? Because we know, if let's say something happens and the magic wand gets waved and rates go down, let's say they get down to under 6, this market's going to be a feeding frenzy. It's going to be nuts. And it's because we still don't have enough houses to sell. That's we still don't have enough inventory. So so now you're going to miss out on these gains, because now house prices are going to go up.
Yeah, I mean, so like if we see 5% appreciation, that's $10,000 on a $200,000 house. So that same house that you hesitated to buy, that's $10,000 that you left on the table just for owning it, let alone you putting every month when you're making that mortgage payment, you're chipping away at that equity. When you're renting, it just stays the same. You're just here all the time. But if you're ownership, just even purchasing it, you're instantly at 10,000 if you're in a 5% appreciation, even 3%, right? It's, no matter what you're doing, you are lining your own pockets. And I talk about it often. Actually, I had it was actually a first time buyer, talking to them, and they want to throw their hat in the ring. They're like, well, down payment, I'm afraid about this and that and the other thing. And then they started talking about the stock market. And I said, okay, well, if they're heavily invested in the stock market. And I was like, okay, if you want to buy $100,000 in stocks, you need $100,000. If you want to invest in $100,000 in real estate and you're going to occupy that home, you need $3,000 as a down payment. You can ask for closing costs, concessions. There's programs you can get where there's free money, in essence, or grants. But that's really all it takes. So when I said that to him, it's almost like I could hear that like aha moment over the phone, and he was like, "Okay, let's do this." I'm like, "Okay, let's," because once he said that, I knew he understood money, because he was like move around with that stock market. I don't even mess around with it a little bit. I let other people mess around with the stock market, because you can't time it. You can't time the ups or the downs. But as soon as I said that little bit of an investment, what it's going to get him, we just moved. We didn't have a conversation. It was a very easy breezy cover girl conversation after that, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, to your point too, is people don't, like, it's a long-term investment, right? Like, just like the stock market is, unless you're savvy enough that you watch it 24/7, and that's the only thing you do with the stock market is like dip in and dip out, right? That's a Robinhood. I have a Robinhood account, but like, it's too hard to do it. Like, it's too hard to watch all of it because
I get heart palpitations.
yeah, yeah, but real estate's the same. It's long term. It's not, unless again you're that savvy wholesaler that can get in and get out of stuff and flip paper, and which is fine, but that's a whole nother business. That's not the same as real estate.
No, it's the same with watching interest rates. Don't do it, because I watch interest rates and it gives me heart palpitations. But if you're someone that's like, oh, I'm gonna wait till the rates drop an eighth. Okay, cool. You just saved yourself $10, neato. Depending on what it really isn't that substantial. Now a half point, okay. So if you're going from 7.5 to 7 or 6.5 to 6, yes, that's going to be a little bit more substantial to your payment. Again, depending on the price point. But on $100,000, that a quarter point is less than $25 to your payment. Like, it's not substantial enough for you to not throw your hat in the ring and purchase a home, because it sounds cooler to have 6% versus 6.25. I understand that, like, visually it looks real sexy to have 6 versus 6.25, but the longevity of it really isn't that substantial, especially because most people do not stay in their mortgage for more than 5 years. So what are we talking about? Most people are going to refinance or sell or do all those things well before you're even going to see a drop in those interest rates 9 out of 10 times.
Yep. It's incredible. And again, this goes back to realtors who are listening. Pay attention to your mortgage professionals and listen to what they're saying, and then use that, use that to help your clients, because we've all had the buyer on the fence, right? Like, well, should I do this now? Should I do this later? Even they've got their pre-approval. They're ready to go. And then all of a sudden they're kind of like, well, I don't know if I should do this right now. And, and then I'm like, lock the rate, buy the house, man. Like, you're killing me right now.
Yeah.
But,
so I'm glad you brought that up, because again, that goes to the point of the message is we're locking in the price of the home, not the interest rate, because we're in an appreciating market. There's not enough inventory in the home and, out here in the streets for your buyers, let alone, like you said, if the rates drop, there's even going to be even bigger push for people entering the buyer's market. So you have to understand that your buyers need to lock in the price of the home, because we can curtail that payment. And if they can afford it right now, then when the rates drop, they're definitely gonna be able to afford it. And a refinance is a reduced cost thing. It doesn't have to be this big song and dance, fan dance. And we can walk the clients through what that experience is to refinance for the first time. A lot of first time buyers, especially, this is kind of more of a topic for first time buyers, but it's not scary. But even first time sellers, like, I have a situation right now where I have a first time buyer and a first time seller, and the way that they were like butting heads, and I knew, both agents on both sides, and it kind of worked out. So everyone felt comfortable with me being in the middle of all that. But the negotiations that took place between the first time seller, because they wanted all the things because it's technically a seller's market. But then the buyer was like, well, I want all the things because I'm a first time buyer and I think it's a buyer's market, and it's not. And we had to really wrap our arms around both sides to get them to calm down, to make this transaction work, so everyone felt like they were winning something.
yeah. No, it's like that sometimes. I had a deal last year, and it was the sellers. They were selling mom passed away. They were selling mom's house. And so I had done a seller's net sheet, but then at the end, when I gave them their Alta statement just the day before closing, they called me all upset. They're like, well, I go, guys, this is exactly what I told you was going to happen. Like, I pulled out the net sheet that I had sent them, and I was $1,000 off of the net sheet, but 1,000 in their favor on the net sheet that I had given them. So I was like, I got you an extra 1,000 that you didn't even know was going to be in there. And they said, well, what's the buyer paying for? Literally what they said.
Yeah.
I said, the house. What do you mean? What are we talking about?
You know what? I'm glad you brought up a net seller sheet. That is something that the real estate community sometimes does not provide to the sellers or the title companies until the last minute. So oftentimes, because I've been doing this for so long, I'm already telling them what their proceeds are going to be, because I know how to do those things. But that is a key thing that I feel like sellers need to see up front, because when they're afraid too. Sellers are afraid too, even though it's their market technically on paper, because there's 2.5 months of supply. So it's technically still a seller's market. We're not even balanced. They need to know what they're getting. So that way, when I'm pre-qualifying, whether they're contingent or not contingent, they need to know what they're getting. So that way I can tell them, hey, it's okay. You don't have to put $100,000 down. You can put $10,000 down. Or I mean, 10% down, but like they want their payments at a certain caliber, and you have to be able to adjust that. But I'm also doing seller net sheets on my side, just to give them an idea of what they're going to be walking away with. So that way I can adjust what their payments are going to look like as well. So I like that you do that right up front.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I teach agents too that I do it with three, right? So I always say it's a good, better, or best. Like if we're good, are you good with what we get here? Now I'm going to try to get you the better or the best, right? Price wise, so if I gave 220, 230, 240, that means if they're good at 220 and I get them 240, man, they're ecstatic, right? But so that's why I always do it, because I give them three options. They think this is the good thing that can happen. This is the better, the best, and then we go from there. So I give them three options as well too. So they're not. It gives me some grace a little bit too, because I really want to get them to the 240, but I may get them at 220. I don't know. Just depends on how our negotiations work out.
Yeah, like dictates price, right? So, obviously everyone thinks their house is worth more than it is sometimes. And it's having those professional, high level conversations and bringing people back to reality, because we always want the best for our clients, but you have to understand that sometimes we're going to fall in the middle depending on what the house looks like. Is there new upgrades? The neighbor might have sold their house, but that they could be a B player on that street, right? The house might not be as updated as the house that sold for top dollar, and it's having those difficult conversations and bringing people back to reality. And that's why I love working with the people that I work with, is because everyone is having these difficult conversations, but at the same time, that's why we're being hired, right? You're with a high level real estate agent or a high level loan officer that is going to really deep dive your finances. It's not just what you're doing in 5 minutes, it's what are you doing 5 years from now? Do you see yourself here? Well, then why are we going to pay points for a lower interest rate if we think we're going to be selling in 2-3 years, right? You got to look at all those things behind the scenes that is going to set everyone up for success now and in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, and again too, like when we talk about down payments, and I think that's an important thing too, when we talk about how much do I want to put down, and because then you become cash poor in a sense, right? Like,
Yeah.
because then you're going to need carpet or you're going to need furniture, whatever it's going to be. You're going to need some cash. So when people talk about putting all their savings down, I'm like, well, no, let's don't put all your savings down, right? Because what if your water heater goes out next week? It's your water heater now.
I would say I talk about it often. So I mean, I'll say it on here too, like the 3 home buyer mistakes, right? Big ones, right? One is they don't keep enough money in the bank, because there is some kind of aversion to banks. People want to put their money in ceiling tiles right now. I don't know what's happening or whatever happens, but they don't keep enough money in the bank. When you're purchasing and using financing, you have to document every dollar that you have in the bank. Anytime you move money around, it's a thing. People think they have to put 20% down. You do not have to put 20% down. You can put 5% down if you're a repeat buyer. You can also get grant money if you're a repeat buyer. First time buyers, especially, you do not have to put 20% down. But the biggest one of all is some people just don't even try. You don't even try. You assume that you're not going to qualify, or maybe something that was on your credit and you're afraid you're going to be denied, or you're embarrassed because you didn't know what you didn't know at the time. Don't let that hinder you, whether you're a repeat buyer or a first time buyer or whatever it is, anything in between, or someone in your family had a horrible experience. That's not going to be your experience, right? Don't let that negativity get pushed on you. But those are the 3 big ones. Like that down payment is huge, because it's not the payment. I can figure out what you can afford. Where's the money coming from? It's not if you're going to buy, when you're going to buy, how are you going to buy? That's like the new conversation, is how are we going to buy? How are we going to purchase? And how are we going to sell that house and make sure that you're not going to be homeless? Because we have yet to leave anyone homeless so far, Jimmy, right?
Right. So knock on wood. Let me
Yeah.
knock on wood.
If we can move around that, but it's having those conversations soon, right? It starts backwards. They start with they find the house, they fall in love with it. Then they do the fan dance with their loan officer, whether it's me or somebody else, about when they're going to pull the credit. I don't want my credit pulled. And by the time sometimes you have your credit pulled, and maybe there's something on there that I could have fixed months ago. And now we're in this like pocket where now your landlord wants to sell the house. We have 30 days. And now I have to move very quickly, and it affects your experience when I have to move very quickly and march that, that ball down the field in a small window.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's oh man, like that
Yes.
opens up another whole can of worms.
No, I just was like, oh my God, we could go a million different ways with this conversation. Because it happens. It happens like so often. Like I won't be the first call, but I'm gonna be that last call. But if how I'm moving behind the scenes, if I have a lot of time or if I have no time, you're gonna get a different Becky because I have to be efficient. So I have a transaction, for example, right now it just landed on my lap Friday, whatever date Friday was. It is dead if I don't close it by the 13th because the house that they're buying is going into foreclosure. So I just got this deal on Friday because the other loan officer made it very clear they weren't moving or getting it done. So now this is something that's on my lap, but now they know I'm going to get it done. I'm going to do my best to get it done, but it's this unreasonable time frame and this unreasonable pressure that I have to close something in 7 days, where someone just been like, "Hey Becky, let's get this done in a timely manner." But now I gotta move. So you gotta move because my efficiency is contingent upon everyone else. And this is for every loan officer out there. Like we get the bad rap. If something goes sideways, the finger guns come out and they want to blame the loan officer. But sometimes it's how quickly did you get that income documents? Where's your money? All that stuff. But we're gonna move because no one doesn't want the transaction to close on time. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, your goal as a loan officer and my goal as a realtor are the same.
Yeah.
To
We're
get
gonna
the deal closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, neither one of us get paid if the deals don't close. So, like,
Yeah, and to be honest with you, it's like it's so beyond getting paid.
oh yeah,
Like when it is so beyond that because, you know, money doesn't lead, it follows. And we get to be a part of someone's forever situation. Even though they might not stay in this house forever, they are never going to forget the first time they bought the house, the fifth time they bought the house, right? They might not know what happened to them because it happened so quickly, but they're not going to forget that. And we are part of their forever history. And I don't take that very lightly. So when something comes to me and it comes to you, that's why you have referral, because it's not about the transaction, it's about the people and it's about what that experience is. And then when someone's like, Becky, if this doesn't close by the 14th or the 13th, or now everything's falling apart, I feel that pressure, like it's me, like it's happening to me because it's happening to them. And we're gonna move real quick, but you better get me what I need snappy.
right, right. Yeah, and you're right. And then you do show up different, right? Because now I'm stressed. I've got a deadline that's most people can't meet, right? But I'm going to try my best to meet it. And so now that's when an email or a phone call comes through and I'm in that mode. Just don't tell me what time it is. Just tell me or don't tell me how the watch works. Just tell me what time it is, right? Like I
Yeah.
don't have time to like go, hey, how are you today? What do you got, right?
I mean, you get a, hey, how are you? Like, this is where we're at. Boom, boom, boom. And then I just put that motivation through me to them. And then, then they start moving, right? It's just how it goes. But if you give me the time, we're going to be like, hey, I noticed this on your credit. You're at a 700, but if you did this little itty bitty thing, you'd be like a 720. Or here's this down payment assistance program. And they are like, hey, is there any assistance? I'm like, we don't have time for that. Like, we got to go. Like, we're moving because certain down payment assistance programs, there's 2 underwrites. So I need a little bit more time on that. Can you move very quickly on those as well? Yes. But when you have to send something to the state of Michigan for them to do their own underwrite in a pinch situation, you might have left money on the table because we don't have time to risk the length that someone else is going to take looking at the file when I know that I have control of it and I got to move it down the field quickly.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the importance of, again, real estate agents staying in front of your deals. We talk about on our morning calls all the time, is like future pacing, right? Like if you future pace your client the right way, give them, I call it the haunted house scenario, right? Like if I go through a haunted house and then I come out and tell you, Becky, that everything that happened in there, it's not scary for you anymore.
I'm gonna be like, I'd be like, you're a liar. I have to see it for myself.
Right. And when that clown jumps out, you're gonna go, "You didn't tell me about the clown."
I'm like, oh, shoot, I should have listened to Jimmy. He did say the house was scary. It was scary in there.
Oh man, that's hilarious. So again, I'm super glad you joined me today because there is a lot to and what people don't realize, I don't think, like you. So you've how long you've been in mortgages?
I have been. This is my 21st year.
I can't believe it because you're only 25, right?
Thank you. Yes, I like to think I'm trying to age in reverse. Thank you.
Oh man, but so that over the years, and you were in the event, the October Best event that happened last October, where then you got to the finals, and then you had to take realtor objection.
Mhm.
But I think we're gonna make a real estate agent out of you yet.
I mean, I would maybe when I retire as a loan officer, I think I might my toe over there, like, boop, we'll see what's going on. Um,
Yeah,
I really enjoy all aspects of it. It's interesting to me. But you also have to know all the things. Like it's stay in your lane, but it's also be dangerous enough, right? You have to know what your counterparts are going through. You have to know what a real estate agent's going through. What is the listing agent going through? What is the loan officer, the title rep? You have to know all the things about our jobs, and other people's jobs, because what someone else is doing is affecting my mortgage and what their experience is. Because what people don't know is that, think about it, like if someone's like in X-Men, right? I'm like Magneto, okay? Everything has got to get pulled to the loan officer, right? Just like everything's got to get pulled to the title company. And, I have to get the title docs, the sellers, the buyers, because everything affects what the mortgage is doing in essence. And I have to know what's going on. So like, you have to know just a little bit, but also have respect for the real estate agent. Like I'm going to say, hey, there's a problem, or I'm seeing something, and I'm going to let the listing agent know or the buyer's agent know. Obviously, there's certain things we can't disclose, but 9 out of 10 times I know the answers, but like I will respect the agents and be like, hey, like this is what we have going on. But I do have those side conversations where, we're all about that collaborative effort. Like you said, we all want the same thing. We're in a lopsided boat more so than ever in this market. And I saw like, Allie, I don't want to be a loan officer. Yes. Listen, that's a whole separate conversation and show, Al, that we're going to talk about. I think we talked about it with Jimmy on before. I get it. It's because we don't get to stop. Because loan officer, it's a whole different animal over here.
yeah, yeah. And because like I said, I broke into the industry on the mortgage side, right? Like I worked at the Big Red Machine downtown,
Ooh,
and
wait.
yeah, and I'm good. I don't want to go down that path again.
But it's like,
Wow.
enough where you can be like, hey, like this is what I'm thinking, or you should really listen to my loan officer. Because what happens is, well, I'll tell them something and then they want to go tattle. Like, oh, Becky said she wanted another pay stub. Can you believe it? Believe that when I sent her my pay stub 5 times, but when I sent her my pay stub, I'm leaving out the fact that I took a picture of it and my pretty polished finger was on the pay stub. And yes, I did send the pay stub, but it wasn't a picture of a pay stub that could be used, right? There's all the things that go along on our side of things that I can assure. And again, this is a solid for every loan officer out there and everyone out there. We will not ask for one more piece of paper that we don't need. I assure you that. We don't like to collect paper just to collect paper, or make you take pictures of documents that look like documents without your fingers inside them or on them or whatever. Like, I assure you, if we're asking for it, we absolutely need it. Promise.
Absolutely. And send me the entire bank statement. Don't
Yeah.
leave pages out of it.
Yes. All the things. And that's 5 pages. We need 5 pages. But that's again where I have really good relationships with my referral partners, where like if I'm struggling, trying to get certain things, I'll call my partner and be like, hey, this buyer, we're getting close to the deadline. I've asked for something several times. Can you just rattle their cage a little bit? And just kind of like, because it's not me versus them, it's all of us together. We want to make sure that each buyer and each seller has the same amazing experience. We're closing timely. They felt like we had nothing better to do than talk to them every day, all day, because that's what we're here for, is to give them an amazing experience. And that's why I love working with the people like you and like the people that I work with who comes on the shows, right? It's high level people on the Hardcore Mortgage Show, because I mean, you're reaching 60,000 people sometimes, on the radio, and they are leaning on us to, even the questions of like, should I take out the red check carpet? Like, these are basic conversations for us, but these is a first time idea for someone that's listening, right? We take for granted sometimes what we're doing because we do it so much, right? The Dr. E's or the mortgagees stuff. But it's important for, even though it seems like daily, like, oh, well, duh, it's not duh for some people. They just don't, they don't know. You don't know what you don't know till you know it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I say that a lot. Like people just don't understand. A lot of times people just don't understand what we do, either the mortgage side or the real estate side. They don't, and the assumption from the general public is, like we just get paid, we get a salary and whatever. Like, I'm like, no, that's not how this works at all. Right? Like
Yeah.
our we don't get paid until this closes, right? Until this ends. And so my job is to, again, it puts my clients in a win-win situation no matter the cost, right? And like what you said earlier, money always follows, it doesn't lead. And so when you can change that mindset, a whole new business opportunity opens for you. I feel, right? Like I feel like the more you just help people, the more things come to you.
Yes, we are selling, or we're not selling, we're helping. And when you're talking about like the leads and follows, I mean, I have I just got a client under contract that I've been working with for 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. Finally took them. They finally found the house that they wanted. They got in the market. They got out of the market. They had life happen. But that's a beautiful thing because they're still with me 24 months later. And even though they threw their hat in the ring, then they got out and they got back in. Now I'm still part of that because from the minute we spoke, we connected. And that would be like me being like, oh, well, now, I've been working for 24 months and, me talking about like getting paid. Like, I don't care. I'm just glad you're now buying your own house now. And I'm a part of that journey. Like, that is everything to me. And that's when you reach the next level in real estate or, on your mortgage, career, whatever you're doing, even title, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're doing, if you're doing things for the right reasons, it will pay dividends, and it just pays dividends. And, like for me, it's like, it's in my heart. I feel so blessed to be a part of these people's journey. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, for all your realtors and loan officers that are listening, it's about your pipeline too.
Yeah.
And if you've got enough in your pipeline, that one that took 2 years to get to the closing table is not a big deal because you had a bunch in between there, right?
Yeah.
Like
Bonus. Now it's like, hey, wow, where'd you come from?
yeah.
Yay. Yay. Here we are.
Yeah, and for the agents that are listening that have worked with builders, right? Like typically got to wait till the build is done, right? Like there's nothing comes out. So literally it can be 12 months. It doesn't depending on how long the house is being built, right? It's funny because we are for the majority of people that I know in this industry, whether it's mortgage or real estate, we have such short attention spans and such bad ADD, right? Like we're all over the place. We're squirrels and shiny objects everywhere. But the funny thing is, it's a long-term gratification to get paid, right? But we want everything right now. But so it's like it's weird sometimes how I feel like how this works. It's 30, 60, 90 days before anything happens. So you have to build a pipeline that is going to sustain that and just keep adding people in there and then nurture that lead. If you're using a CRM, whatever you're doing, but if you're not paying attention to your CRM or your pipeline, wherever they're at, like that's where you're missing out. Because if I say you added 5 buyers a week into your pipeline, I mean, they're not all going to buy tomorrow. They'll start trickling through, but you have to keep adding those 5 in every time because they're going to start trickling out too, right? That either they don't buy and they put it off, or they put it off for 2 years, right? So, what's your advice for staying in front of your clients? Obviously, you use a CRM, right? But what else? What is your big trick to staying in front of your clients? Like you had that for 2 years.
Yeah, so like I call it like the Veruca Salt syndrome, right? Where it's like, Daddy, I want to open up and I want it now, right? It's everyone wants instant gratification, but you have to stay in the pocket under pressure. And I think that if you're not utilizing your database like a data bank, you're missing out because you're a fool if you think that your client's name and number is not sitting in somebody else's database as well, because everything is built around data capture. So if they even look at another house on Zillow or realtor.com or whatever, that Google search is following them. And, it's all about that data capture. So you have to be touching your people, right? You just have to be constantly connecting with them. And my biggest thing too is sometimes it's intuition. If someone's name or face pops up in my brain, I'm reaching out to them. And a lot of times they're like, you know what? I was just thinking about you. And it's followed me my entire career. So and even if it's personal, right? It's nothing about professional, even sometimes. Like if a friend or anyone pops in your brain, reach out to them, because that is something pulling you to them for a reason. And this particular client, they would randomly pop in my mind, as well as they're constantly like, I have those automated drips that you can do with your CRMs where it's like, hey, remember me, because people forget what you do, but they're not going to forget how you make them feel. So if you can have an instant connection and you can really not have that like, oh, talking super fast, but if you have that moment where you can slow it down and really connect with somebody in the right way, number one, they're not going to leave you, but number two, they're going to remember you. And then every time your random email pops up, they're not going to unsubscribe from you, right? They're like, okay, I remember Becky. Okay, thank you. Oh, she remembered my birthdays, so I have certain things that I do, and one of them for sure is if someone pops in my head, you're getting a call from me or a text from me or something of that nature. Even right now I'm starting to do like just random videos. Hey, thought about you today. I get to see my face for a second. And it's something that I've added where, because texts get lost, and, like I have, like, you should see like I won't open them so I can make sure I know who I'm hitting every day. So if I couldn't get to it right away, if I was in a meeting, I don't open those text messages, but, I don't want to be lost in someone's phone, nor does someone want to be lost in my phone. And so it's just setting up those little things, those little nuances that'll help you. And like we were talking about, I was actually talking about AI the other day, right? There's a lot of uncertainty around AI, right? But the thing is that AI will never replace people, never. But you will be replaced if you're not utilizing AI, if someone else is,
Yep.
because it can help you be more efficient. That's true, because people are going to be out here and like, oh my God, I feel like Becky's everywhere. And I like, oh my God, Jimmy's everywhere, but you're everywhere, but nowhere at the same time. Because, if you can utilize technology, and that's what's cool thing about being in this evolution of real estate. Like, I mean, I've grown up in this business. I've seen the housing market crash. I've seen the rates crash. I've seen them go up. I've seen them go down. But the one thing about real estate that stays the same is change. And you're either part of that positive change and the evolution of real estate, or you get left behind. So where do you want to be? And if, the technology is pushing you, you have to move with it. But this is still a people business. People are still going to sit across from me and have a cross-leg conversation if that's what they want. People are still going to be talking to me via text if that's what they want. They're going to be talking to me via email, phone call, Zoom. I'm still available, because the human element, the people element will never go away, because I'm old school so much, but you also have to be a little bit of new school. So it's a little bit of everything. You have to adapt with what your client wants to.
Yeah. I mean, it's I'm 52 years old. So like, yeah, and now and if you look at the camera, like, there's a laptop here, there's a laptop here, there's a board down here. Like, I've figured out how to run all this crap at 52, right? Like,
Like you're running like the ones and twos, like Jimmy Nelson on the ones and twos over there.
that's what it feels like. I feel like I should be getting DJ somewhere. But and kind of reverse a little bit. Al said my line: everyone is everyone's client, no one is anyone's client.
Yeah.
And it is true. Like, you have clients, but everybody has clients. And so I think that the important thing is, again, staying in front of them, and what you said, personalizing it too, right? Like, I'm a big firm believer in video, right? Like, I love video, and because video does a couple things for you too. Is video, because when people start watching it, whether they're watching on their phone, or they're on their computer and they're watching a video, you almost become like this celebrity because you're on TV in a sense, right? Like, they're in their mind, they're like, oh my gosh, you're on video, right? And so that's what you're saying about just shooting that quick video and sending it to your client. I mean, that's different, right? And I'm old school, where it's a handwritten note, a handwritten card, mailed
Yeah.
mailed to their house, right? Like, and it's like, wow, I got mail from Becky today. Like, holy crap, how did that happen?
I look to go with like what Al said. Like what I say often is, if you're working with everybody, you're working with nobody.
Mm,
So fortunate that everyone in the US of A wants to work with Becky Alley Capital Mortgage Funding, right? I'm not arrogant or foolish enough to believe that to be true, but I am an asset in your portfolio, and I will perform, and I will perform at a very high level. So it's getting, like my referral partners or my clients to understand that, like, yeah, you might not always see me in there, but I'm there, and I'm gonna always be coming. You're gonna see I'm up always, always. But and then you're like, oh dang, wow, Becky Alley stock went up. Oh, I can see her again, right? So just know I'm always there in the background, and I'm gonna perform at a very high level. But sometimes it just, like if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, or maybe someone doesn't see me, or I wasn't top of mind, and then whose fault's that? It's mine. Because sometimes people forget what you do. They might not forget who you are, but like, oh dang, like, my real estate agent recommended this other loan officer because maybe they brought their dog into their office and now they're top of mind. They brought in some bagels, right? And they forgot about me for 3 seconds. But that doesn't mean that when you call me tomorrow, that I'm not going to perform at a very high level for you and get it done.
Right. Right. And I had a guest on the show. He's a dentist, a very good friend of mine, and he said kind of the same thing. He's like, not every patient is mine or should be. All right. Maybe I'm not a match, personality wise for that client either. Right. Like there is something to be said about that. Kurt and I talk about it all the time where we talk about like working with the 90%, because there's 10% that just aren't going to work out for me. Right. Whether that's just a personality issue or whatever, but there's 10% of the people that I'm just not going to mesh with. I feel like I mesh with everybody, but again, I don't, because I can be too much for people, right? Like it's a thing.
Listen, are you too much or not enough? Okay, that's really the real question. Okay.
Well, maybe a little bit of both.
I mean, like, but this market also, like, you have to be a leader too, right? So like when your clients are leaning on to you, or whether, because you coach, right? You understand that, like, you are a leader among leaders. Okay, you're coaching real estate agents, and it's almost like what you're talking about with your dentist. Do you want to go to the dentist? Is like, oh, I don't know. Should you get that cavity fixed? I don't know. Maybe whatever you want to do. No, like you have to be like, yes, get the cavity filled, or else your tooth is gonna fall out. So if it's like, yes, put the money in the bank, or else you're not buying this house. We have to move the people in such a way and get people to understand, like, there's a reason why we're here, is because we have to lead not only ourselves, but we have to lead others to like one of the biggest financial decisions. And also coaching the real estate agents that maybe are afraid right now to have those difficult conversations because they don't have the confidence yet. But I will say this, that on my 21st year, like, I'm not uncoachable. I'm always looking at things like it's my first time. And that's allowed me to adapt in the market. I don't get stuck. I don't care what the interest rates are. The interest rates are irrelevant to me because I know that I can find someone a payment that they can afford, regardless if the rate was 3% or 6% or 8%. And the problem really is like, and then like right now, this is where it's preventing people from overbuying a little bit, which is a good thing, because a lot of people did overbuy in 2020, and now they have these taxes that reassess. It's a whole other animal conversation that a lot of loan officers don't have because they're afraid to have it, or they don't know how to have it. And now they have, on the dirty side of things that I see is the ones that bought the houses in 2020. They've already let go of those interest rates because their credit card debt got so high that now we have to do a refinance, or maybe they took out home equity credit to reset that baseline. But guess what? They own the house now, and they can use it as a tangible asset to reset the baseline and get a payment they can afford. So real estate is always going to win. It's the long game, always.
I love that. And you're right. And again, but it's staying coachable, one, it's very important on both of our sides of the fence. But what people don't understand, and realtors and just the general people don't understand about mortgages, is things change daily. I mean, hourly almost, right? Like you can get something in the morning, and then by 4 o'clock, it's like different. It's like, what happened? So that's why it's important to find somebody like yourself that's on top of your game, that is staying in tune with the market, because you've been throwing out market stats about inventory. We got 2.5 months of inventory, like all this stuff. What some loan officers don't know that part, right? They know the loan part, but they don't know that side of it, right? Which you need to know enough of it, because then that helps you get your realtor partners and your clients on the right page, right? So
yeah, because I mean, I'm structuring a loan for somebody, and I have to tell the real estate agent very specifically, okay, this is our box right here. We have to stay in this box, go find it. And I have to be very clear on that, because if I if I pre-qualify someone and it's real tight where like they only can do this and we need 6,000 concessions, then that real estate agent knows they're looking for a very specific home for that very specific buyer. It's the same, but it's different every single time. And I have to be very clear so that way you, as Jimmy, you as the real estate professional, you're walking a very straight line for that client. Like, this is what we have to do. And I have to be in tune with everything that's going on, real estate, mortgage side, because it helps the buyer experience. It helps the real estate, experience. And, when something, or even a low appraisal, for example, let's just say we're under contract and the appraisal comes in low, and, I'm not going to look at this appraisal and be like, hey, this is actually not a bad appraisal. It's not. But there's a reason why there's appraisal guarantees, because we've already had those conversations. Hey, are you expecting this to be tight at this purchase price? And we're having these conversations ahead of schedule, so that way when it does happen, no one's like, oh my God, I had no idea, my hair's on fire. Like, we just gotta like keep it the temperature all the time. But I appreciate that like that you respect that, but it's exciting and it's never boring, I will tell you that. And we're here to make sure that even the real estate agents, I will say this, kind of like button on my thought, there's real estate agents that are not mentored. They're not. And they don't have the leadership at their brokerages that EXP has, or like your real estate, like you guys are so in tune with these calls and adding value to these newer agents. It's a beautiful thing. And I'll tell you this right now, because I am a little bit of different places, it's not like that everywhere. And so when I get those calls from those real estate agents that don't know how to structure the deal, I'm telling them specifically even what to say to a listing agent sometimes, because I know what it's going to take on the loan side to get it done, because that's what it all comes down to, is where's the money coming from and how are we going to get there? And I'm the money side. So I'm not going to make the call for you, but I'm going to tell you what to say. And then we're going to get this deal done, because that's what it's about. It's the client experience. And no one needs to know that I'm the woman behind the curtain, like Mrs. Oz over here, telling people what to do. But we're going to figure it out for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, it's important, because again, I'm a big firm believer too. And when we write offers, if I'm on the buy side, I always tab my loan officer in, right? And I would say, Becky, can you call the listing agent for me? You know what I mean? And explain and just give a high level overview from the mortgage side, because now I know on the listing side, when that happens to me on the listing side and the loan officer calls me, I'm like, oh, these people are on top of their game. Like, this is going to be easy. You know what I mean? If I don't hear from you and then I'm like, wait a minute, like, do I want to go down this rabbit hole with this person? Because maybe this deal sounds great, but I know it's never going to close, right? Like, I know it's never going to get to the closing table.
You get the yes, you do this, yes. But really, no, you're walking around with a piece of paper that didn't mean anything. And I would say that is, it's unfortunate, because again, I see the things behind the scenes. Like I said, I'm not the first phone call, but I'll be your last phone call. I say that often because it happens quite a bit. You have, a lot of people that have been walking around showing their clients homes for months. And then this moment happens. You're like, yes, we're finally under contract, all the things. And then financing falls through. There's so many variables that you could have done in the beginning to maybe avoid that. And then there's other things that happen that you can't do anything about. Like, did someone lose their job? There's always those outside underlying factors that you can't control. But most of the time, it's something that could have been found out like immediately. Yeah. And but then we're gonna figure it out. Like, I'll give you I'll give you 10 reasons of what or how we're gonna get there. But then, how can you execute it? Do you have a gift? Can you get a donor? Like, what are the things they're going to take to fix the problem? I'll find them, but can you execute? And that's really the lack of execution and conversion. Really, that's a whole other conversation too, that we could do a coaching call on how to execute and convert. And I can pre-approve someone, or I can talk to 57 people, but are you able to really paint the picture and let them see something that they can't see for themselves, and actually turn that, that prospect into a real buyer?
Well, if you're not busy on Monday morning, you could join us on the Breakfast Club call at 7:30.
Don't threaten me with a good time, okay?
So the Breakfast Clubbers that are listening, if you're listening somewhere else, you can join us on the Breakfast Club, which is the number is 803-0656 every morning at 7:30 throughout the week. Now, those are just conference calls during the week. So if you just join us, just mute your phone. It's been interesting. I don't know if it's the spring or what, but between and what you don't know is since Apple has added the, you can record your phone calls on your phone. But when you hit the record thing from your phone, it tells you that it's being recorded now. So the amount of times that hops in and out of it's crazy. Anyway, but yeah, again,
this call is being recorded.
yes, and then this call's not being recorded. This call's being recorded. This call's not being recorded. The people are bouncing in and out. Anyway, but yeah, Al says the importance of working with an experienced loan officer and realtor, right? And I think that's very important for one thing. But the other thing is experience, yes, but I think more importantly, it's the loan officer or the realtor that puts their client first. That's the important part, because I know some experienced agents that don't do that. But and they've been in the business for 30 years, I'm like, I don't care. First of all, it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, your business card shows you've been it's like you need to update that a little bit. But you can experience doesn't always win, right? It's like you can be like, I could say and be like, I have 21 years in the business, but if I am not boots on the ground, ingrained in this market, then my experiences are relevant because I'm out of touch. Because what happened 21 years ago is not what's happening today. And you have to be constantly evolving, like with real estate. Like I said, you have to be a part of the positive evolution, or are you stuck? What are you doing? How are you adding value? And are you adapting to the different situations? Because what happened 3 months ago, it's different today. The rates Friday are going to be different today. I mean, and then the call I'm going to take is going to be different. It's the same, but it's different. You have to be a part of it. And, you have to have that beginner's mindset, because you're going to get left behind. And it doesn't matter if you've been in the business for 20 years. I want to be with someone that's been in the business for 20 years, but is still very in tune and in touch and learning and growing today, because you can hear that experience, but you feel that experience. It's different because it's real time. It's not talking about yesteryear or what someone did 10 years ago. Who cares?
Yeah. Yeah. So we got about 2 minutes left. So this is kind of one of the ways I like to ask clients or agent or guests on the show. Geez, oh man. But if you were getting into the business today, either real estate or mortgage, right? What would be your biggest piece of advice to somebody just jumping in today?
I like that question, actually. And mine's kind of basic a little bit, maybe, I don't know, but my answer would be, you don't have to know everything to take action. You don't have to, like it's like, well, oh, if I go to 5 more conferences, I'm going to have enough knowledge to do this. Or if I, take enough notes, like then I can be that top level loan officer or real estate agent. And you really don't. You just have to be in the rooms with the people that want to see you grow. Because I know what I know and I know what I don't know. But what makes me a highly educated person is not because I have a doctorate in something. It's because I have.
Yep. Yep. No, I love it. I love it. And
For a second, I was like, oh, I'm just going to talk over this music bed right now. So
it was louder than I thought it was going to be when I turned it on. That's why I mixed up the ones and twos. I did the one, not the two. Where can everybody find you? I know tomorrow morning, 97.1 One Ticket, right?
Yeah, so every Saturday morning, I'm on the Hardcore Mortgage Show, 97.1. You can call in. Our number is 248-539-9797. It's consumer direct, but I'm there every Saturday morning. We're live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube, and live on 97.1. So anyone that's listening, don't be afraid to call in. Even if you're not our guest, call in the show. You're adding value. Like if the real estate professionals on there are saying something that you're like, yes, I'm in alliance with, give us a call. We love hearing from everyone. So, and you can see me on all social media. I think my handle is like Becky_Alley Mortgage. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm here to make your dreams come true.
There you go, Becky Alley. Thank you for joining me again, my friend. I'm going to hold you to that on Monday morning. We'll get you on the Breakfast Club call too. So Breakfast Clubbers, be ready for Becky on Monday morning. So,
oh my God, thank you so much, Jimmy. I had such a good time. I appreciate being asked to come on here. Thank you so much.
Of course. Come back anytime, and then again, you need me on the show. I'm always ready to hop in. So, great stuff. Great stuff. I appreciate it, guys. Another Friday in the books, and I appreciate everybody listening. Breakfast Clubbers and KGCI Radio. We guys are out.